I got started in business as what I like to call wantrepreneur. When I was 18 years old, I was working at Taco Bell. One too many times I saw so and so help 5 families, so and so help 10 families, so and so help 50 families. If they can do it, like why can't I? And I said, okay, I'm getting my insurance license, and I went and helped 8 families my first weekend. Fell in love with the insurance industry, and I think that's super important. Like, I'm the guy who jumped from opportunity to opportunity trying to find a home. Who are you?
Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. We have Jamie Chirio on.
What's up, Jimmy? How we doing, man?
I'm doing good, man. Hey, so congratulations on your integrity gig, bro. I heard you're a monster at recruiting and marketing, so that's why we're going to focus with you today to get us across the finish line. But first, Factory's just going to catch us up on what's up and coming. Factory, what's going on in our world?
All right, so as always, stay connected, fflusa.com/connect. We've got 15% when you automate and save with the Integrity Lead Center. Check that out. We've got, if you guys don't already know who he is, Bobby Bridges with Americo. He will be here for our lock-in next Tuesday. It's Tuesday or is that Wednesday? Yep, Tuesday. Definitely come out for that. We've got convention. Uncle Jimmy, how important is it to get everybody here to convention?
Oh, it's amazing. I mean, I don't know. If you don't go to convention, you're not going to get fired up for the year. I mean, usually I think we have like the biggest sales right out of convention, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
and all the learning, all the great stuff. So, I mean, if you're not going to go to convention, you're going to be left behind because with all the motivation speakers and everyone that's up there just fires everybody up. It's amazing.
And then we've got some awesome prizes that's going to be passed out as well. So if you guys don't already register, get your flights in Dallas and get there. Next up, we've got Joseph Miller, newest integrity partner. Congratulations to him. We've got 15% discount on the Lead Center. This is Fresh Ethos Abandoned Cart Insurance and Ethos Aged Abandoned Cart. It's coupon code JOLLY23. That's good through the 13th through the 17th. Get that in. And the quote of the day here is, learn from yesterday, live for today, hope for tomorrow. The important thing is not to stop questioning. Albert Einstein.
Nice. All right. So, Jamie, what's going on, man? How you doing today?
I am phenomenal. I'm excited to be here. The studio looks great from the last time that I was there. So huge shout out to Factory Fresh.
Yeah, it's
Thanks,
pretty,
bro.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy what he's been able to put together for Andrew and team. I mean, I've been in the music world for a long time. I ran venues, and it's pretty first class in here. I mean, some of the venues that you go watch your best favorite acts, rock acts don't have the equipment these guys have. It's kind of funny to me. So, Jamie, let's get going, man. So, tell everybody who you are and where you come from, and let's start with that.
Absolutely. I am 30 years old. I come from Michigan. I started my insurance business from a little farmhouse in Oregon, and I am now in Greenville, South Carolina. So I've had quite the journey here with Family First Life and quite the journey in business. I got started in business as what I like to call wantrepreneur. When I was 18 years old, I was working at Taco Bell while going to school at Michigan State University. I was introduced to a network marketing company. One of my buddies was standing on a table in a dorm room telling us how we're going to make $1 million. And I was all in, right away, in college, 18 years old, went out and started building sales teams. I met a guy through the grapevine named Grady Polson, who a lot of y'all know. Grady was one of my first mentors, as well as his parents, Glenn and Becky. And they kind of got me started in the business world, personal development, all of that stuff. Built a business with them for probably 5-6 years. Thought I was going to be bringing my grandkids to the conventions of that company. We sold energy drinks all around the world. It was phenomenal experience. I learned a lot. That company was made an example of by the FTC because of the way that we advertise. So just like in the insurance world now, we talk about families help versus, premium and, guarantees, all that stuff. We were like one of the first companies to be made an example of, because we were talking about 18 to 20-year-old kids dropping out of college to make $100,000 a year. And, we had to pay for it. So overnight, multiple 6-figure income shut off, company paid for car, stopped being paid for by the company. And we panicked, and I spent a couple of months trying to figure out where we were going to take a sales organization of thousands of people. Found another company, and we're there for about a year. Wasn't a great fit politically. Just couldn't really find our home there. Just kind of felt like a small fish in a huge ocean. Tried my hand at starting my own network marketing company. Did that for about a year and a half. The parent company that sponsored us to build that concept out ended up going bankrupt. So moral of the story, like, I've learned how to pivot when things go wrong, which has been a big thing. I got out of the direct sales world. I was over the idea of building a team. I said, nope, I will not send another direct message out to friends and family, like telling them about my next opportunity. I'm going to start a traditional business. I got into the digital marketing world, and I started an advertising business. And on paper, it was $1 million business. Looked really, really cool on Instagram. I was the operations guy. And when it was all said and done, between my 4 partners and 4 employees, I was able to afford to pay myself $2,000 a month. So obviously at that point, like, the juice wasn't worth the squeeze. Pandemic hits. My wife's a teacher. She gets laid off. We lose half of our income. And it's like, okay, what are you going to do? And that's when I reconnected with Grady. And he said, I'd love for you to come sell insurance, but I don't think that's where you're at in life. So I actually started off as Family First Life America staff member, helping with recognition and marketing, taking some of the things from my background and helping put some of those systems in place that Grady has today. And then I made one too many recognition images. One too many times I saw so-and-so help 5 families, so-and-so help 10 families, so-and-so help 50 families. And it was the whole, like, man, if that guy or girl, if they can do it, like, why can't I? And just kind of, I broke, and I said, okay, I'm getting my insurance license. And I went and got it in 6 days. And I didn't want to tell a soul in the world that I was selling insurance. The only person who knew or 2 people that knew were Grady and then my wife, because I had to have a conversation about taking some of her hard-earned teaching income for our first batch of leads, and went to work. And I went out in the world. I saw everybody in person. I helped 8 families my first weekend. And, my disclaimer is that it doesn't happen like that for everybody. Some people don't help their first family for 30 days. Some people don't for 3 months. But I happen to be one of the people who helped a few families, right off the bat. And that just built my belief. And I think the biggest thing for me is I realized I'd sold so many things in my past, but I'd never left a sale feeling good every time like I do in life insurance, where I'd walk away from the house. And I can't tell you how many times over 10 years I walked away from a sale and was like, I kind of twisted that person's arm a little bit. Like, I sold them. Like, even if I have a hard conversation with Miss Mary, I don't ever feel like I twisted her arm. I feel like I helped her make a good financial decision. So I've always felt great about that. You fast forward, you get something like your first death claim. And I remember Grady's dad called me, and he's like, dude, welcome to the most honorable profession on the planet. Like, you made it. I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, at the end of someone's life, everyone else is saying, gimme, gimme, gimme. You owe us this. He says, you're the only person reaching back with a check. How does it feel? And it gave me chills, because it wasn't like $1 million death benefit. It was like a $15,000 death benefit. And the gratitude that family showed, I'll never forget it. So, I fell in love with the insurance industry. And I think that's super important. Like, you can't just look at this as another sales gig. Like, this is the best sales gig on the planet. You have to actually fall in love with the insurance industry and what we do. And kind of the whole theme of what I talk about as of most recently is there's a lot of people who they look at selling insurance as a means to an end. I'm going to sell insurance until I build a business to a certain point that I don't have to sell insurance anymore, and I live off an override. That I can't wrap my mind around that, because I love insurance so much that I can't ever imagine stopping selling it. And I think that the way in which you sell and your daily method of operations, it'll evolve. At some point, you're no longer going to be banging on the phones 12 hours a day. You're going to get to a point where you're starting to work a book of business, and, you have appointments on the schedule, you're doing annual reviews, all of these things, and the daily grind changes. But I cannot ever imagine myself not helping families with insurance, because I fell in love with the industry first. Does that make sense, Jimmy?
Yeah, it does. And it's funny. I was working with another company doing voluntary benefits, and we went out to Mesquite because no one went outside of Las Vegas. So I'm like, you guys aren't going to Pahrump, you're not going to Laughlin, you're not going to Mesquite, so I'm going to do that. So I took an agent with me and we went and tag teamed it. And on our way out there, I got to know him and I was like, so have you ever done sales? He goes, yeah, I used to sell $2,500 vacuums. And I was like, $2,500 vacuum? I'm like, but you can't sell insurance. I don't understand. Like, how can you feel good about selling $2,500 vacuum to somebody who doesn't need it, but something that they really need, you don't know how to sell? And he kind of got mad at me and he's like, oh, we'll see where you're at. We'll see how good you are. And I'm like, it's no. I said, it's just real simple. I mean, if you can sell somebody a vacuum for $2,500 that doesn't really need that, I don't care what it does, purifies the air, cleans your toes, whatever it doesn't matter, right? It doesn't. But something that when they pass away, they won't be a burden to their family. Even if it's only $2,500, it's going to help the fall of whoever has to pick up the chips, right? And it's weird. And I'm with you. I don't understand how people get into this business and sell, and then all of a sudden they want to live on the overrides, which is amazing. I get it, but I think there's that passion that there's got to be. I mean, you're running your business. You still got to run your business. You still got to show, even your integrity partner. They still want to see you perform. They bought you for a reason, right? They did. They bought you for a reason. And I always look at the Elon Musks of the world, like him, hate him. Guy's the richest man on the planet, and he works harder than anybody because he loves what he does, right? I mean, if you truly love what you do, then you're going to continue to do what you do, and that's sell insurance. So, Jamie, I hear that you are big in recruiting. So, who do you look for? And help us, and explain it to us like we're a 5-year-old, so that we can just break it down. So, because it's scary, right? People, they get afraid. They're like, oh man, if I bring someone on, they give me a chargeback, but they don't realize that when you bring people on, they also give you extra income, right? They help you during times when you might be in a slump and they're cranking, and that little bit helps you buy your leads to get you back in the flow. And so help us explain, what do you look for in a recruit? How do you do it? And then how do you get them across the finish line?
Totally. I think that one of the biggest reasons that agents come in and they have bad experiences is because we don't do a good job setting proper expectations of what's going to happen. So we all show them, let's say the Rogue IMO video, which, 10, 15-minute video that in my personal opinion, it's kind of sunshine and rainbows. We are the best. This is the best sales gig on the planet.
Right.
Now I show people that 100%. But I also recorded a 45-minute video called Why Not to Join FFL, where I explain all the things. I explain anything good and bad that can happen.
Wait a minute.
I'm not even kidding. And I send this to every agent. And if they get to the end of that video and they say, I'm in, I go, okay, because now you can't tell me in 6 months, no one ever told me about chargebacks. No one ever told me about how I should spend my money. No one ever told me how I should save for taxes. I explain all those things very clearly, and still, I mean, it's not just doom and gloom, just it's clickbait, so make some people click it. Why not to join? But at the end of the day, I explain, hey, there's 2 agents that both issue 200 grand. How did one save 50 grand and somehow one's 50 grand in debt? Because that does happen. And it's because you have the one agent who goes out and week 1 gets a $900 a month truck payment and then upgrades his house, and then also goes and pays off all of his debt. It takes all the money out of the business, starves his business as it's growing before cash flow is built up. And there's just these little practices that are so important. So for me, I've been turning more people away than ever before. In the beginning, I'd take anybody. Grady used to say, if you could fog a mirror, you could sell insurance. And I'm I've gotten away from that philosophy because it's burned me. And also I'm looking for people. I'll take anybody. My favorite moment is when somebody who has never sold has that light bulb moment of man, this is the industry I want to be in, and I can do this for the rest of my life. Someone who's already in insurance. I love to talk to people who are already in insurance. However, people think that's the easy recruit. Mm-hmm. Those are the people who have bad habits. Those are the ones who want special treatment. Those are the ones who are coming with baggage. And a lot of the times, and this is not trying to be mean whatsoever. I heard somebody else use this language. They said, you're kind of picking up other companies' trash. The people who are easy to recruit from other companies, they're not always the best, most solid agents in the long run. If you wanted to recruit an Andrew Taylor, it's going to take more than one LinkedIn cold message for him to join. Like it's going to take a relationship building in order to get that to happen. So like
And he
if you're
still
going
ain't
from
going to
a
join.
really good insurance agent, it's going to take some time and some
Right.
relationship building.
Right.
But the ones who come super easy are the ones who come bringing all their baggage from over there to over here.
Yeah.
So I think it's important, like, not to just think, oh, let's go recruit everybody because we have the best comp in the world. We do. That's all a fact. Like, you can recruit other agents, but taking the easy ones, that's where all the problems come. And that's why people don't want to recruit, is because they recruit some people that were already having a problem at their other company that are looking to say, I'm going to solve it over here, but they just bring all their problems here. Number one. But social media, of course, is probably the number one place. My philosophy since day one has always been productive people attract productive people, and nobody wants to follow someone who can't sell, because they need to know that you can teach them how to sell. So my philosophy has always been, I'm going to be number one on the leaderboard or somewhere in the top 5. I have to be. And it's not because I need to be recognized. It's because I need to be recognized as someone who can teach them how to sell insurance, or they will never follow me. So like, that's always been one of the most important things. And someone asked in the comments, what's the 45-minute video? Just type in why not to join FFL and my name on YouTube, and you can find it, and you're welcome to use it. I always wanted to be, near the top of the leaderboard, because I believe that for some reason, people will, like, even if you recruit them and you're only helping 10 families a month, they see that and they put you on a pedestal and they say, well, since you recruited me, like, I can't do better than you. So like, I feel like you have to do so much better than the new person that it like raises up what they believe they can do. So like, if you're only helping 10, your new guy's only going to help 2. But if you're helping 50, maybe your new guy helps 10 or 15. And then now that they help 10 or 15, they realize it's actually not that hard to help 10 or 15. And once I get there, I have the ability to, make a few tweaks on the lead side, the activity side. I've proven I can sell insurance. I can go from 15 to 30 just with a few tweaks in activity. So I think it's so important to just have proper expectations in general. Like, there's a million places to find recruits. The number one thing is you actually have to talk to people. You have to actually put yourself out there and start conversations. You will never just recruit people just by existing. That's not going to happen. So you have to actually get out there and message people, make conversations. Back in network marketing, we used to talk to the waiter or the waitress or the server. I don't do that as much unless I really find somebody that I think could do well here. I think that's important, to like not just try to recruit a warm body, but to like identify somebody who you actually think could succeed here. Does that make sense, Jimmy?
Yeah. So how do you, so you find the person, right? You think they're going to be good. And then how do you give them the honest, hey, you got to buy your leads? So how do you pitch that?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I'm looking for somebody who's open to sales in general, because if I want them to already be open to the fact that like 100% commission means no cap, means that you can earn as much as you want. I want them to be able to have that vision that they can build something for themselves. I think that's really important. And like, what comes with that is like, hey, this is a real business, like business owner expenses. Like, I'm trying to get people in the mindset of like, you're a business owner from day one, and like, this is a profit and loss sheet. Like, you are a business owner, and like, our goal is to help you, go out there and take a lead and turn $1 into $4, or turn $1 into $10, like whatever that dollar amount turns out to be, to take $1,000 and turn it into 10 families. You might not do that from day one, but that's the goal. Talking to someone about, hey, if you get a list of 100 names and phone numbers of people who are raising their hand saying that they're looking for life insurance, and you can't close one, because one will give you like a do-over. You close one and you get $500, $600, $700, $1,000 in premium. Buy another batch of leads, another 100 or so names. If you're willing to work some older leads, you're gonna get 200-300 names. But if you can't close one and get a do-over, at least, like, either you're not working hard enough, meaning you're not calling the leads. It's like, you're not triple dialing, you're not hitting the morning, afternoon, evening, like all the things you have to do to get the repetition, or just, this isn't the right industry for you. So like, I'm looking at it as like, what can this person make of this first batch of leads? Like, do they have any grit? Like, are they willing to like call through it and squeeze through it to find that first sale, that second sale? And if they're not willing to, like, I don't really want to work with that person in the long run. So for me, I'm explaining obviously what's possible. I'm explaining it like a, cash flow business. Like, hey, let's get you to playing with house money as quick as possible. You go into the casino with $50. You win 50. What do? You put the original 50 back in your pocket, and we're playing with house money. And it's like teaching people good habits and showing them how we're going to take that $50 in profit. We're going to reinvest it back into the business. And we're going to get to the point where you are consistently helping a certain amount of families per week. And then we will start to take profit out of the business. Like, this isn't your money. It's your business's money. And we have to have that perspective up front. So, I think I probably, scare a lot of people away with this recruiting style, but at the end of the day, the ones who stay, I think they're ultimately going to appreciate it in the long run. I mean, I didn't start this way. This is like of the last year. And you can look at my recruiting numbers. They have slowed down, but also like my conversion rate's gone up.
So it's working. Yeah. So it's funny, when I met Jamie, I was sitting across from him, and we were talking about, obviously insurance. And he was like, yeah, I tell people I've sold more insurance than anybody in the state of Oregon. And I thought that was just great. And then he brought a point up with me, and I was like, I'm 54. He's like, yeah, but you got family in the business, and you can tell them, you're safe with me, because if something happens to me, my nephew will step in. And then you've got, generation of people. And then after talking to him, and you guys can hear him talk, obviously he's very good with his words, and he's very convincing. And that's the piece I think that I would want to portray to people is, until you become convincing, the light bulb really doesn't come on, because the person on the other side of that phone still is kind of hesitant to be like, I trust this person. Because you got to realize, we're calling them, we're asking for their social, their driver's license, and their banking information, right? We give them a quote, and we tell them we're going to get them this policy, right? So it's all a blur until they get that text or that email, and then they realize, okay, this is real. So if you're not convincing up front, it's never going to happen. I mean, no one's going to trust you to do that.
Yeah. I mean, now like I'm at a point where I can like provide some credentials. Like, hey, our agency helped 10,000 families last year. Like, hey, check out this press release that just came out with integrity, and you can see my face, national publication. Like, I'm not here to scam you. But like when I was first getting started, my go-to line, and like you also have to be a good person in this industry. Like, you can't be trying to screw people over. Like, when I say this, I actually believe it. So I want to preface it with this. I'd be like, hey man, I'm just going to treat you like you were my mom or dad. And like, if it doesn't make sense, I'm just going to tell you not to get it. But like, if it does make sense, I'm going to strongly advocate for you. Is that fair?
I like that.
Yeah, that's fair. And I'm going to treat you like your mom. I would meet people who were 59, like exact same age as my dad, similar profession, blue collar. And, I'd look at it and I would just relate it to my situation. But dude, if I was your kid, like, here would be the objection. Like, I want to talk to my kids. Okay, if I was your son, first thing that I would say is I'd say, Dad, I'll take care of it. Don't worry about it. But now I'm like, but do you have to ask your son permission to protect him? No. So it's like, I would talk to people like they were my own parents or grandparents. Like, and that was one of the ways that I always helped try to bring down the walls on some of these people. And then just, increase credibility, reduce sales pressure. I would overshare my credentials. When I was sitting in the home, hey, here's my state license. I'd slide it across the table. Please pull out your phone and take a picture of it. No, I'm good. No, I'm required to have you take a picture of it. Please pull out your phone.
Validation.
My driver's license. Or we're on, now we've got the verified producer websites or digital business cards. I'm doing a telesale. It's like, hey, we sent you a text message when we booked this appointment that had a link to verify my state license. Did you have a chance to click on that? No. Okay, pull out your phone right now. I'm required to have you click on it, lay eyes on it. I can get in trouble, get fired if you don't click on it. And it just like, it makes them feel more safe. It's like, hey, all this is doing is protecting you. We used to meet everybody in person, pandemic hit. Now we do everything virtual. The insurance department wants to make sure, we're not calling from Thailand or something, trying to steal your social security number. And it's like bringing all that stuff up front and saying, hey, you see that national producer number right there? That's like my social security number for insurance. If I do something wrong, I can be fined $250,000, go to jail. I can lose my license. This is my livelihood. This is how I feed my family. I'm not willing to do anything to mess up my license. So please click the link.
I love it. So that's some great information for all those new agents out there. So recruiting, I get it. It's very important. I think everyone needs to recruit. What do you tell your agents that are like, I got to learn everything first. I got to be the expert before I can, and then I've got to make sales. And so what's your rebuttal for that for them?
I mean, you really don't, because like I remember when I first got started, like I think back to like my first dial day thinking that I needed to know everything. And all I really knew, like I went to the boot camp and like I got everything. I got a little bit of everything. I got a little bit of the dialing, a little bit of the leads, a little bit of the in-home, a little bit of the objections. Then it's time. And it's like, okay, I'm actually going to call these people. And then like I set some appointments and I'm like, I actually have to meet with these people. Like, what am I going to say? And one of the things that was like super powerful for me, realizing I didn't need to know everything, is that the client doesn't really know what this is supposed to go like. They don't know what a perfect presentation is at all. So I remember there was this video called "8 Steps to a Final Expense In-Home" when I first got started, from one of the top people at the time. And I really wanted, I was like, what if I could just like bring my notes into the home with me? Like, I just wish I don't forget what to say. And I was just like, why don't I just bring my notes into the home with me? Who cares? Like, what's the client going to do? And then at a certain point, I like took my notes from my notebook and I typed it out. And then I wrote the word agenda at the top and it became my in-home agenda. And in the client's mind, it was like, here's like what we're going to go over today. And in my mind, it was just so I didn't forget what to say. And I had it in front of me. And when you're doing telesales, the client has no idea if you have a script in front of you, what you're doing, you're on live dials, like, hey, Mary, I'm about 99% sure what direction we're going to go here on the product. I just need to get a second opinion from my senior underwriter.
And Jamie, you used to have your script in front of you on telesales, right? I think saw something where
I don't currently at this moment, but I did for a long time.
yeah, because I saw you a podcast. You're like, I've done this a bazillion times and I still have my script there. It's just comforting for me to have it.
Yeah, I mean, it really is. If you get thrown off, it's right there. So like you have like, you can tell people like you have other people that you can lean on as resources. You tell Mary, I'm 99% sure what product we're going to go with. And when you're literally 0% sure what product, and then you say, can I place you on hold? You unmute on Zoom and say, hey, Jimmy, I got Mary here 72 and here's what she needs. Or you jump in Slack into the underwriting genie or the in-home helpline, and someone tells you what product to write. And they don't just tell you what product to write. They give you the 4 bullet points on how to sell the American Eagle. Then you get back on the phone with Mary and you tell her the 4 bullet points. And then you say, I got 3 options for you. Which one do you want? She picks one. And then you just learn how to make closing statements of, hey, here's what we're going to do. We're going to submit a request for coverage, go grab this, and we're going to get started. And you start to like learn these things and realize you don't really need to know that much. You need to be good at dialing the phone and setting appointments. That's number one. If you can't figure that out, you won't get to the part where you sign the application. Secondly, you need to get really good at setting the table. Setting the table is, telling them who you are, why you're there, and what you're about to do. Getting them to agree to the process, getting really good at asking questions on the financial inventory, painting a picture back to them about the problem you're about to solve, and then having someone else give you the product recommendation. That's the big thing until you figure it out. So at the end of the day, you don't need to know everything. You don't need to know about all the products, and you 100% do not need to know about anything to recruit somebody other than the fact that this is a great business, because they could learn next to you. They could be in with you. Your manager could teach both of you. You get on the team calls, you plug into the system. You could be learning at the exact same time, and they make a sale and you make 5 points. Like, what a better business, model. There's no other better business than that, where I can bring a friend in and we can be 5 points difference in comp and we can both earn some money together. We can be elbow partners. Like, what a cool thing to do. So like, I wish I would have recruited earlier. Everyone always says that. No one ever does. Everyone always says I need to have the success story first. I don't regret the way that it worked out, but everyone says that.
It's never too late though.
When the day comes that someone starts recruiting day one, like nobody's done it yet, but one day it's going to come and someone's actually going to listen and they're going to recruit day one and they're going to be really glad they did.
Yeah, it's powerful in numbers, right? I call it a calculator, and people are like, "Why do you call it a calculator?" I said, because it adds and it can subtract, because there are chargebacks. Yep. So it's not a multiplier. A lot of people are like, it's a multiplier. I'm like, no, that only goes up. It's a calculator, because you are going to get chargebacks. So you are going to do a lot of plus signs, but you're going to do some negatives too, right? Hopefully not very many, but it is going to happen. So when did so your first weekend you sold immediately. You helped a bunch of families. Was that it? You just knew, huh? Because you've already been in sale, or did you have another bad month? When did it really kick in for you, Jamie? Like you're like, wow, you might not have to teach again. I got this. Like this is, here's all your money back that you let me take from your hard, when was it?
So I will preface with this. I have had more bad weeks and bad days than I can count, like days when you're questioning everything,
Mhm.
but I've never, ever, ever had a bad month. Bad months, like, because you forget like your new high and you're like, oh, you're mad that you had a bad month, but that bad month is some other people's best month. That's a whole different thing. But like, I've never had a month where I didn't sell. I've never had a month where, other than like family member dying, or I've had 2 children born during the last 3
Oh,
years.
congratulations.
Other than those things, like, I've never had a bad month, and it's because the activity was always there. I've had more bad weeks than I can count. I remember my first month I helped 19 families, and then my second month I helped 28 families, and then I think it was like my 9th or 10th week I went, like, everyone was just saying yes. It was just something was happening, and then I went out and I had like 27 appointments in a week, and I didn't close anything. And like the week before, I had like 25 appointments and closed 24. And Grady's like, dude, what happened? Like, what did you do? Did you not brush your teeth? What happened that you didn't sell anything? And I was like, well, I was trying this and I was trying that, and I heard so and so say this, so I tried that. And he's like, dude, stop trying stuff. Like, go back to like what was working, which was you just being you. He's like, what happened is you started listening to too much YouTube, and you started listening to too many different people, and you started trying too many things, and it threw off your entire process, and you started saying things that started landing weird with clients. And then Andrew calls it the doom loop, and like I got caught in the doom loop, and I couldn't close anything. And then it took me a second to pull my way out of that. But like what I realized is that I was doing things and trying things because I thought that it was the right thing to do. Like I thought I had to learn new closes and new sales techniques, when really, like, this isn't that fancy of a sale. So like I found 3 or 4 people that I really related to, and I watched every video that they had, and I stopped watching everyone else's videos. Like I kept watching the interviews and stuff because I wanted to learn some of the success principles, the struggles, but I like stopped when the script part would come in, or like the little sales techniques, I would tune out a little bit. And it's like, not because I didn't respect what they were saying. I just learned how to kind of discern and chew and spit, before I swallowed things. And I realized, like, when I was taking in everything from everybody, information overload, I was like, oh, well, maybe I should. It was like, let's try a different lead type. Let's try a different closing technique. Let's try a different setting of the table. Let's try a different way to, cement this appointment. And like, it started going bad. And then I realized, okay, you need to just go back to one thing and do it over and over and over again, and make little changes as you go, rather than I was like making, like, I'm going to change my entire presentation because I saw one YouTube video from somebody that's selling 50 grand a month. I'm going to change everything. And then I realized, like, no, you got something that's working, make little changes. Like, I'm going to change this one sentence this time. I'm going to change the way that I ask this question this one time, but I'm not going to change my entire presentation on a whim just because somebody else is getting results doing something. If you're doing something that's working, like, do not stop doing it. Always try to tweak it to try to get a little bit better and more efficient. But like, the only time you change what you're doing entirely from top to bottom is when what you're doing is not working at all. Like, that's when it's okay to change everything. But I like put a nuclear bomb to my business for a week because I decided to just change everything. So
Wow.
if you got something that's working, like, you can get better, but like, don't, change everything just because you heard one person only does live transfers. So now you need to stop working the leads that you're working to only work live transfers. Like, you got to like have a little bit of discernment here, and like find your niche, and try to stick with it for the most part, and don't make crazy changes all at once.
I like that. So basically, less is more. Find your
Yeah.
niche and stick to it, right? So it's funny you say that because I listened to, 'cause I couldn't figure out the telesales. I just couldn't do it, and I wasn't going to go into homes. I mean, I did go into homes, but I'm like, I don't want to go into homes. I
Yeah.
mean, it's when I first started doing insurance, I had a full-time job, and I went into homes, and I had to go into them between 6 and 9 at night and on the weekends. And if I missed a signature, if there was an addendum, if there was something that I had to go back, it took weeks to get paid because it was hard chasing these people down because I had a full-time job. So then I just got out of the industry. Now with the telesales and the computer, everything is is amazing. It's like very quick. There's even the text signatures. It's so much easier. And I'm like, I can't do it. But I couldn't get the client to like what I was saying. And then we were actually watching some bloopers, and in the studio, I was with Factory, and I saw Sean Mike, and he did a presentation on the phone with Andrew. And I was like, and they did something really funny with him. But I was like, rewind that. And he's like, why? I go, I want to record that. He goes, well, I go, that's it. Because I feel like we have 6 seconds to get someone's attention. And he's so direct, Sean is, right? He's like, Jamie, this is Sean. You know, it's just real simple. You're looking for insurance. I'm your guy. And I was like, wow, that's kind of how I want to do it. And when I started doing that, I started getting more people that were engaging with me. And then all of a sudden, I started making sales. My confidence went through the roof. I wasn't reading, I'm not a telemarketer. I'm an insurance agent. I'm from the mortgage department. I'm like, I can't do that. I know it works for a ton of people. And I know I've seen it. There's tons of people that made money on that. But for me, it just didn't resonate and I couldn't do it. So like I tell agents, find somebody that you can connect with and then learn what they do. And if it works, stick to it, because like you said, you were killing it and then you started trying to better it and then you screwed yourself.
Yep. 100%. In regard, I think this is kind of, I'd love to stay on the intro here to a phone call here for a second, just because you started there. Man, this is like such a powerful skill. If you learn how to grab someone in those first 3 sentences, it is a superpower. Like it's like, it doesn't matter what the lead is. It could be a 10-year-old lead. It could be $100 brand new lead. Like learning how to capture someone in those first 3 sentences is everything. So it doesn't even matter what your intro is. It changes a little bit based on the lead, but like the script for the most part is about the same. Like everyone's got little tweaks and things they say that make it special, make them laugh, make them comfortable, whatever it is. But like at the end of the day, like who I am, why I'm calling, and I'm trying to confirm some piece of information so I can take control. If I confirm that piece of information, I'm in control. They start asking me questions, they're in control. My goal is to gain control as quickly as possible. So if I'm on the phone with you and it's like, hey, Jimmy, this is Jamie. I'm getting back to you. You filled out that thing about the mortgage protection. I'm just the underwriter who's been assigned to get that information out to you. Put your address this. Is that correct?
Yes.
And if at any point you interrupt me during that process, like where the new agent gets stuck is they let the client interrupt them. And like they think they're being rude by talking over the person, but you have to understand, like, they won't give you the time of day if you don't learn how to talk over them and get control in that moment. You can slow down after you gain control, but like those first 3 sentences are everything. So one of the biggest mistakes the new agents make is they go, hey, Jimmy. Yeah. This is Jamie calling about the mortgage protection. And they pause and like, they're waiting for Jimmy to like urge them on, like, yeah. And then they do their next sentence. Yeah. No, because that's when the client is going to hang up. That's when the client's done listening. That's when the client is going to come in with an objection. I need to gain control. So breathe, but don't pause in your first 3 sentences. That's what I've always been told. It's not time to pause and let them urge you on. So, hey, Jimmy, this is Jamie. I'm just getting back with you. You sent that request into my office about the mortgage protection. I'm the underwriter who's been assigned to get that info to you. Takes about 10 minutes. Go grab a pen. Whatever that thing is. Mm-hmm. And you can't pause because like they look at that as they're out. And as soon as you gain control, they go grab the pen. You're in the presentation. They say, yes, that's their birthday. Yes, that's their address. You make it to the next point on the checkpoint to keep going. You get to ask your next question. So those first 3 sentences are everything. And then the other thing is, I think it's important, depending on the lead type, to be empathetic to the experience of the lead when they filled this thing out. So you got a direct mail lead. Okay, hey, you filled out that thing, came in your mailbox. You flipped up the flag on your mailbox, sent it back into us. It's like I'm explaining the experience to them. They get one of those, a call in. Hey, you got all those pieces of mail. It was super annoying, I'm sure, but there was one with the 1-800 phone number on it, and you called into it. Hey, you were scrolling on Facebook, and you came across something that talked about final expenses. Hey, you were probably online looking for life insurance quotes. Then your phone started blowing up with telemarketers. Yeah, I'm the manager. I'm so sorry you've been getting all those calls. I'm calling to apologize. Like, understanding that like the internet lead is the brand new internet leads getting blown up by telemarketers. So I'd rather just call that out right away. hey, I know you're getting blown up. That sucks. I'm here to get you your quote. I'm the local guy. Basically like differentiate myself from everybody else. You call the call-in lead. I can't tell you how many times I've called a mortgage call-in lead and said, hey, that postcard you filled out? And they go, I didn't fill anything out. Click. But then I changed it to, hey, that postcard you received and you called the phone number on it? Everyone's like, yep. But as soon as I said you filled it out, they're like, I didn't fill anything out, because they didn't. They called the number on the postcard, which is a
Oh,
totally different experience. So it's like, explain, like when you bring back to the top of the mind their experience, because we used to have, and your favorite hobby's blank, and we still have those leads, but like you have to bring it back to the top of the mind somehow. And you also have to, just, increase the credibility by showing that you know what their experience is, and that like you're supposed to be calling them because they filled this thing out. And it's like, it's weird that they don't remember or don't know why you're calling, because they requested this information.
yeah, it's true. What leads do you like to run, Jamie? And then did you, when you first came out, what were you, a final expense guy? Were you whatever lead I get my hands on guy? What were you?
When I first got started, we didn't even have internet leads. Like that was internet leads was like a new thing for us when I got started. So the first thing that I was able to get my hands on were Facebook final expense leads, and they were $25 a piece. So I get 40 Facebook final expense leads, and I'd go to work, and I'd book, 10, 15 appointments off of those. And then sometimes I start to order 80, as I started to get better. Then the, FFL partnered with Integrity, and that changed the game when it came to our leads in general, and our CRM got updated. And we got access to internet leads, and we got access to old mortgage leads and all this old data. And I started working Facebook final expense with old mortgage, because that's all I could get my hands on. I was in Oregon, and there were some very established people in the Pacific Northwest. I couldn't get my hands on any new mortgage. And then as time went on, it was like Monopoly. I tried to get Boardwalk and Park Place, but I couldn't. But I got, the little yellow and brown ones, and I worked my way up. And then eventually I owned most of Oregon, at least where I ran. And I did mortgage protection for a long time. And, I still love mortgage protection, that really, helped me go. But internet leads were one of my favorite leads to work, because I realized that once I got the appointment, they were one of the hardest to book, but the easiest to sell. The internet leads are like the craziest gatekeepers on the planet. They don't want to let you in, but I love it, because if they do let you in,
It's on.
they ain't let nobody else in behind you. If it was that hard for me to book the appointment with them, and if I make the sale, nobody's replacing that policy. Nobody's coming behind me. Unlike a mortgage mailer, right. They filled out 4 postcards. People are just showing up at their door knocking and trying to replace my policies. So internet leads became my bread and butter for probably my whole second year with the little mortgage that I could get. Eventually I started to kind of own the mortgage space in Oregon. And then, and I was all in person 100%. And then about a year and a half ago, I moved to South Carolina, and I had to transition from in-home to virtual. And that was just such a transition, because I didn't want to. I was against it. I thought persistency was going to be horrible. I was one of the last people on my own team that transferred to virtual. I looked at my leaderboard one week, and top 25, I happened to be number 1 that week, but 23 of the 25 people on the board were all virtual. So there's 2 of us of my top 25 that were still going in the home. And I said, okay, I guess my team decided for me, time for you to learn virtual. And I moved across the country, but I still had all my Oregon leads. So I had to learn to sell them over the phone. And then, now it's kind of transitioned. We've got these Facebook mortgage leads, Facebook IUL leads. I still mix in some internet leads. And then I've been really big on annual reviews. I would say probably 25% of my production this year has been on my own current book of business and referrals. Going back to my current book of business, who I sold a $10,000 AmeriCorps policy when I got started, and said, hey, Mary, I don't know if you've watched the news lately, but inflation says your 10,000 really should be 20,000. And like half the people were like, yeah, that makes sense. And the other half were like, I can't afford anything else. And either way, I was like, cool, good to hear from you. And, I wrote a bunch of insurance in the beginning of the year just by saying, hey, you really should double your policy because of inflation. It was like the simplest conversation in the world, but I couldn't get there unless I had a book of business. So like, I think the biggest thing where I kind of want to, start to end this here is the way that you sell insurance, what your daily method of operation looks like is going to change, and it should evolve, and you should get better. Like your closing ratio should get higher. The leads that you're working should change. Like when you're 3-4 years into the business, like you should not be spending the same amount on leads as you were in your first year. You shouldn't. Like my book of business is now over 1,000 clients. Like I can go back to those 1,000 clients and I can ask for referrals. I can go back and do annual reviews. I can add on. So like my first year in the business, I was in from July to December in 2020, and I did 178 my first year in premium. And that was on like, I don't know, 250 applications. So that means my average premium was pretty low. My second full year, my first full year, my second year, I did 428 on almost 600 applications. Okay, so again, average premium pretty low. The following year, did 550 on 350 applications.
Getting better.
Average premium started going up. I think when the numbers come out, I just hit Hall of Fame for my third time this week, but I did it on less than 200 applications this year.
Wow.
So my average premium has gone through the roof. The amount of insurance I sell per home, husband, wife, accidental, children's whole life, IUL. I still haven't really figured out the annuity game, but that's a new goal for me in 2024 is to do the annuity Hall of Fame. But your book of business and the way that you are in this business is going to change. And if you're not getting better, like if your closing percentage isn't going up, if your profitability is not going up, like all of those things, then there's a problem. Like you have to evolve. If you still have the same leads, the same profitability, the same schedule, like all of that stuff, the same closing percentage, like you haven't evolved. And like 3 years in, you really shouldn't be dialing the phone 12 hours a day. Now I'll book and work 14 to 15 appointments in a day. So now I'm not spending the whole day dialing, I'm spending the whole day selling insurance. And it's like, it's because the business has evolved. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. So when you were first dialing, I watched a podcast on you. You're a maniac. Like what you talked about was like, you leave me alone. I'm dialing. If I don't hit this number, then I'm dialing until I do. And I'm getting up tomorrow morning and I'm still dialing. And so tell people like, cause I want agents to understand the work ethic. Okay. You just didn't get where you're at because you rolled out of bed at 9, you started dialing at 11, you went to lunch, you went to work out, then you got back on the phones about 2 and wrapped it up at 5, had dinner with your wife and went to bed. So tell them what you did and how you did it because you put in crazy hours.
I mean, I got obsessed. I mean, that's the thing. I'll also preface this. Last night, I just completed a 16-week marriage course with my wife. We weren't in a bad place, but like I also needed to invest back into that after investing so heavily into this. But that was a conversation that we had in the beginning. Was like, I have to protect the dial time. Like, would you rather me be mediocre at this for the next 2 years, or do you want me to learn this in the next 90 days? So if I learn this in the next 90 days, then like we can get better at creating our own schedule and we can have a little bit more freedom. So I, turned it into, like, we didn't have kids when I first got started. So that made it a little bit easier. Now I got 2 kids, a 2-year-old and a 10-month-old. Neither of them sleep. So I woke up last night and I let my wife sleep with the baby. I took the baby monitor. I woke up this morning at like 6:37 with both children in my arms in a recliner, so that makes it a little bit harder to wake up with my alarm when I have both children sleeping on top of me, but no kids at the time. I was up and I was clicking the green button at 8:00. I wasn't getting into the office at 8. Like I sacrificed pretty much anything and everything. Saturdays never took off, period. It's probably 70% of my production for the last 3 years has come on Saturdays alone. Saturdays, like when we look back on it. So Saturdays is a cheat code. But the way that I would dial is I did the traditional Monday, Thursday schedule, and now it's kind of transitioned. I'll explain what I do today, but dial on Monday for Tuesday, Wednesday. If I had a bad dial day on Monday, I would purposely leave my Tuesday morning open. So Tuesday morning was the last part that I would book. I'd wait until like I'm at 16, 17 appointments to book in my last Tuesday morning because I left that open to continue to dial to fill in all the other open gaps. I always did that for myself. I left the next day after dial day, those few hours in the morning open until literally I had nothing else left in the schedule except for those slots to book. That was really important for me. So I'd dial on Monday, I'd leave a spot open on Tuesday, I'd fill in some of the gaps, Tuesday, Wednesday. And I can't tell you how many times that I was dialing in the car in between appointments, and that 1 or 2 extra appointments that I booked were the appointments that saved my entire week. Like they were the ones that, like, if I wouldn't have pulled over and dialed in my gap between appointments, I wouldn't have made a sale that week, or I wouldn't have, been profitable that week, whatever, that thing is. And then Thursdays I dial for Friday, Saturday, and I'd fill my Saturday from top to bottom. I mean, like, it was no joke. Like Saturday, and I do not work Sundays. That was really hard for me. I think that it was really hard for me to trust that God could do more with 6 days than I could do with 7. But I had to trust that. And Saturdays became everything. Like, I've only missed a couple Saturdays in 3 years, and it's been because of kids being born, parents dying, or we've had a couple little vacations where I've missed it, but we made it up. I also learned how to be flexible, like when I had trips coming up, like how to learn to, if I have a trip that's a Saturday trip, and I Saturday, Sunday, and then I'm like traveling on Monday, so I don't get back to the middle of the day, then I would dial sometimes on Tuesday, literally like a 12-hour day, to book up Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. But I'd leave gaps in there, on Wednesday morning, Thursday morning, to keep on filling it in. It's just a constant dial to fill it in. Now kind of has this transition to telesales. I'm all about same day and next day appointments. So in the morning, wake up at 8, or not wake up at 8, start dialing at 8, and I'm booking my appointments for the afternoon. I'm trying to get as much as I can same day this evening, if not tomorrow. And I'm always leaving those morning gaps open for dialing for same day or next day, and for recruiting. That's been my typical thing. I'm all about setting appointments. I'm not a big one call close guy. I think one call close is fine. There's nothing wrong with it. I'm just not at a point in my life where I can sit there and just dial until I get somebody. I have to compartmentalize my schedule so I can give my wife and my kids time, or give my recruiting and my business time. And I have to say, this is time for that. Like Wednesday night, we do our marriage course. Saturday morning, my wife and I go get coffee before I start working. I had to put those things in first, and then set appointments in all of the different gaps all around it. So I had to go in and block up. This is my block of 6 hours that I will run telesales appointments. This is my block of 10 hours or whatever I'm going to run telesales appointments. This is when I'm going to do family stuff. I had to do all that stuff, because if I didn't do it like that and I just one call close, my family would never see me, because I'm a workaholic. So I had to compartmentalize it that way. So I just know, fill in the gaps, and then family can expect, when they have me, based on when those gaps are in the schedule.
That's awesome, man. So is there any questions anyone wants to ask Jamie? Because I know he's got a lot of knowledge,
we
man.
do got one question, Jamie. Someone's asking, where's the 45-minute video?
Yeah, I can put it in the chat here.
All right, cool.
Yeah, it's just on, if you go search Jamie Chirio on YouTube, should come up, but I will toss it in there for you guys.
So Jamie, real quick, marketing, let's touch on that. I'm a brand new agent. How do I market myself? How do I get myself out there? What do I do? Give me like a 1, 2, 3 real quick.
Man, I mean, I would honestly say, like, I got to go back to the original point that I made the first time, which is, if you're not at the top of the leaderboard, like, what are we even trying to market? That's number one. Number two, I think marketing to yourself. And this might sound a little bit weird, but like, who are you? Like, for me, I'm the guy who jumped from opportunity to opportunity trying to find a home. So like, in all of my marketing, that's who I'm speaking to. That's who I'm trying to recruit. So all the pain points that I'm hitting are pain points that those people out there that are just like me, that they would feel, putting out content talking about, like, have you ever had, a boss or a manager that basically, sits back and collects the override while you do all the work, because I've been in that situation before, and like, hey, I work in the trenches, I'm right there next to you. Like, you're not going to have that experience working with me. Or, one thing, this is a big one. Maybe this will help you guys. Like, if anyone's taking notes, I'm only saying this, I got my whiteboard right in front of me right now. I went to a network marketing conference with my wife. She's in a network marketing company. And one of the ladies got up on stage and she's like, I'll give you, a bunch of ways that you can create unlimited content. She's like, all right, make a couple different lists. Number one is a list of all of your firsts. Okay. And you can make content about any of these things. Your first sale, your first dial day, your first death claim, your first think about it, your first door knock, your first time speaking on a call, your first person that quit on you, first charge back, all these things, like a list of firsts. You can make unlimited content just off of that. Then a list of features and benefits. Features and benefits. So features of our products. So I made a video about the CBO, made a video about living benefits, made a video about whole life versus term, made a video about, how life insurance can help you replace income for somebody. And then, same thing with the agent side. I talked about how we can make more money than other sales industries. I talked about how you can be your own boss, how you can create leveraged income, how you can get paid fast, low barrier to entry. And I just started making a list, all my firsts, all the features and benefits of the products we sell and why you're an agent, most common objections and questions that people have. Like someone's like, hey, is it hard to get your license and insurance? Like, make a video about that. Or objections, like, hey, people want to think about it. Like, I'll get on my story and talk about how I experienced to think about it. And it was crazy because they really needed the insurance, and how, and talk about the emotion behind like why it was heartbroken that they didn't get it. Lessons learned, lessons learned the hard way, and just, being transparent about what you're struggling with. In 2017, I filed bankruptcy. So I started telling everybody that I was bankrupt after making money. And I started attracting other people who, were
in the same
dealing with
boat.
stuff like
Yeah.
that, in the same boat. So I'm trying to attract myself. So I'm putting out all these things, hoping that other people relate to those experiences. And, no, you might not, attract a bunch of people right off the bat. But at the end of the day, like if someone's trying to find who they're going to work with in Family First Life, why not you? Like if you're the story of, I met a girl on the producer cruise, and she, I don't know if anybody was at convention last year, but she had a sign that was like, Sean, give me $10,000 in leads and I'll hit Hall of Fame. And she just hit Hall of Fame, and she's a single mom, crazy story. I'm like, why is every single mom not wanting to work with you?
Right.
Like seriously, like that's every awesome. single mom in the entire company who finds FFL should find your YouTube videos about why being a single parent and how you can do this. So it's like, who are you, and lean into that. I think that's really important.
That's awesome. So I saw something that says best phone setter is your client. What do you mean by that, real quick? And so you use your clients, or what was that?
Say that one more time. I missed that.
The best phone setter is your client. I watched you talking about that.
The best. I'm not even sure what you're talking about.
Oh, you were on a podcast and you guys were
client.
Yeah, you were talking about that, and I was like, wow, what does that mean? That's
I don't
okay.
even know what you're saying.
Oh, that's all right. That's all right. That's okay. So anyways, thank you, Jamie. I appreciate it, man. I can see why Integrity picked you to be a partner, man. You're amazing. I don't know. I wish I could have wrote a ton of notes. I'm going to have to listen to this a few times because you gave so much great information, and that's what we were hoping for today. Hope you have a Merry Christmas with you and your family, and a Happy New Year, and we will see you on the other side, sir.
All right. I'll try to come out to Vegas and visit.
Why don't you come out for one of our lock-ins?
Hey, let's do it.
Okay.
Make it out, Jamie.
From the boss, and let's do it.
I'll do it, man. Done.
Thanks, dude.
Thank you, guys. Bye.
No.
Oh.